out of here. Let me tell you something, beloved. I absolutely agree with you that, any of the people who weren't down for Karmelo, I'm sorry. And you're talking about Nolan, you're just grifting. That's my opinion. If you weren't down for Karmelo, because clearly anybody with sense knew that they railroaded him, they knew that Karmelo was only defending himself. And if you don't have sense enough to know that, then you're just obtuse. But if you knew that Karmelo was defending himself and you didn't defend him, and now you're talking about Nolan Wells, yeah, you're just grifting. I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. And that's what Nancy Grayson's doing, if you ask me, grifting, okay, on a river. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about Karmelo. Okay, let's talk about Karmelo. With that being said, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Let's go to this first clip. We're going to look over those transcripts too. Because when I tell y'all, honey, the bullshit was real. Okay? I so wish I had gone to that trial. If I'd known it was going to end so quickly, I darn sure would have gone.
My name is Courtney of Courthouse Couture. I'm a lawyer, but not your lawyer. And yes, I've been practicing law in the state of Texas for 16 years. We're going to have to talk about the fact that Karmelo Anthony's new legal team, they're going to be headed to court 2 times next week. Once on August 19th, it will be arguing that the judge that presided over Karmelo Anthony's trial, Judge Roach, that he should be recused, that there should be a new judge allowed. And then on August 20th, they will be arguing their motion for a new trial. Now, in the motion to recuse Judge Roach, they are going to have to show bias. Bias that they're talking about are the post-trial interviews that Judge Roach did. He expressed Karmelo Anthony's new legal team is calling personal opinions about the propriety and correctness of the jurors' verdict, fairness of the trial, the correctness of the judge's own rulings at the trial. The very next day, Karmelo Anthony's new legal team will be arguing Karmelo Anthony needs a new trial. We know now, now that more information has come out, that based on secret deals made, Karmelo Anthony's original
Updating the Nolan Wells file. Do you see that? This is the Triton. You could fit a body up under there.
Okay, so like she said, they want a new trial. And hopefully that's exactly what he'll get. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now let's get ready to get into it. Okay. Now there's a lot to these transcripts. I haven't gone through the whole thing, but I did write down some timestamps for the ones I want to go through. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Okay, here we go. Hold on, I'm just queuing this. I think I'm gonna start at about page, hold on, 17 on the first set. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Now, let's start right here. So, this is one of the first sets of transcripts because they had multiple sets. Okay, hold on. Let me scroll up. Okay. This is when the jury has just been brought in and they say, good morning. Mr. Werski is the assistant DA to Greg Willis, who's the DA. Again, my name is Bill Werski. I'm one of the assistant district attorneys that represents the state of Texas in this case. And as the judge said, it is now my duty to read the true bill of indictment to you folks. And it reads as follows. True bill of indictment. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury of Collin County, state of Texas, duly organized at the January term AD 2025 of the 219th District Court of said county in said court at said term do present that one Karmelo Sincere Anthony hereinafter called defendant or or on or about the second day of April 2025 in said county and state did then and there intentionally and knowingly cause the death of an individual, namely Austin Metcalf, by stabbing Austin Metcalf with a knife, a deadly weapon, and further then and there with intent to cause serious bodily injury to Austin Metcalf, an individual, commit an act clearly dangerous to human life by stabbing Austin Metcalf with a knife, a deadly weapon that caused the death of Austin Metcalf. Now, what I want you to notice right away, and I'm sure you have, is that he keeps saying in words like inflammatory words, intentionally did cause the death with a deadly weapon, the death of Austin Metcalf. He keeps saying those dark words. What he's doing here is painting a picture. Commit an act clearly dangerous to human life by stabbing Austin Metcalf with a knife, a deadly weapon that caused the death of Austin Metcalf. You see what I'm saying? Against the peace and dignity of the state, signed by the foreman of the grand jury. The court then says, thank you, Mr. Worski. Mr. Anthony, to these charges, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty? The defendant says not guilty. Thank you. Have a seat. Now I'm going to go down just a little bit. Okay, so the court, hey, could you do me a favor? I put lavaliers on your table. Would y'all mind wearing those during your statement so that we can call, or we can all hear you? Mr. Worski says, thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Okay. They go on to say, counsel, this is Worski talking, counsel. Good morning. Again, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is our opportunity to share with you what we believe the evidence will be in this trial. Now, to basically, okay, what the evidence will be in this trial, to basically tell you why we are all here this morning. And very simply, we are all here this morning because this young man, Karmelo Anthony, on Wednesday, April the 2nd of last year, 2025, decided to take a knife to a high school track meet and provoke and goad another young man who he didn't know into touching him. And the instant he is touched, he produced a hidden knife already open in his hand and plunged it into his chest, buried it into the heart of another young man, causing his death. And then he ran away. Now, do you all hear this? Do you all hear this? You hear how this is all playing out? Okay. You hear how this is all playing out? Now, this is absolutely why he was found guilty. Listen to the language. And this is all lies in a painted narrative. Okay, Miss Pucci says, I believe that's how he got Warren, got her number and only called Javon to confirm her number, not to get it. He knew. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Hold on, I missed this earlier. So here's the thing. Someone said something about that in the comments. Someone said that Javon's mom said she had to tell Javon that Nolan was missing. And they said they would have thought that Javon already knew Nolan was missing because of when Warren called to get the number for Mrs. Christine, that he likely would have told Javon, that they don't believe that Warren wouldn't have told Javon. Well, I absolutely believe that Warren wouldn't have told Javon. And here's why. Because Warren wanted to take the credit for being the first one to contact Mrs. Christine. Warren could have just simply called Javon and said, look, we haven't talked to Nolan and we have his phone. Have you heard from him? Okay, well, can you call his mom and let her know we got his phone and see if she's heard anything? He could have just done that. It was very calculated what he did. He didn't want to tell Javon, and I'm sure that when he called Javon, he didn't say anything about Nolan missing. He probably just said, hey, give me Miss Christine's phone. I need to ask her something. Or he could have made it seem as though it was no big deal. Okay, he could have just said, hey, I got Nolan's phone. I don't even think he told him that, because then Miss Christine would have known that. So clearly, what I'm saying is, I don't think that for a second he told Javon Nolan was missing. I don't think that. Now, maybe he did, but I don't think so. Because like I said, we saw how he used that same talking point later to pat himself on the back and act as though we should all be patting him on his back too. I was the first one to call Miss Christine. I was the first one to call the Coast Guard. Javon didn't call her. Yeah, because Javon didn't know Nolan was missing. And I already told you all that 1,000 times. Javon did not know she was missing, or he was missing, because if he did, I'm pretty sure he would have been talking to Miss Christine too. So I don't believe it. Okay, I absolutely don't believe it. Thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. And I also don't think that Warren had Miss Christine's number. Miss Christine didn't look at Warren as if he was such a good friend of her son's. Okay, the one that she said was a friend was Jax. And then we know Javon was because he was at the funeral and everything else. I don't think Warren was a good friend. And I don't think Warren had that number. If he had it, he definitely wouldn't have called Javon, not in my opinion, beloved. Now, Pensalona says, I stay lurking. And thank you for your insight and your contribution. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Pensalona says, I stay lurking the tube streets watching copycats on Queen. Not watching copycats on Queen. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate your kind words. Okay, or your shade that you're throwing at people and your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, now that all being said, goes on to say, but just listen to how he's painting this picture. The other young man has a name. His name is Austin Metcalf. And Austin died that day in a high school stadium because this man decided to commit an unjustified, provoked murder. That's why we are here this morning. This case has nothing to do with race. This case is not self-defense. This case is about a man for a reason or reasons unknown who took the knife to the track meet, slipped into the. Now, listen to this part. Listen to this part. This is a case about a man for reason or reasons unknown who took the knife to the track meet, slipped inside into another team's tent, refused to leave. They said he slipped in, like he snuck in, okay? And refused to leave and taunted them and goaded them and provoked them. And when Austin Metcalf finally went and pushed and shoved him to move him out from the tent, that's when he lodged his sneak surprise attack. The folding knife already open. He had it hidden so no one could see it in his backpack. And then he plunged it into Austin Metcalf's heart, an act clearly dangerous to human life. It's the second time he said that, okay, in the first 10 minutes that he's been talking. Now, in fact, an act that took a human life that day. That is why we are here, folks. No other reason. The fact of this case is simple. The facts of this case are simple. They are simple as this killing, as this murder was senseless. Okay, simply senseless. Now you're going to hear a little bit more about his deadly and dangerous actions that day. But more importantly, you're going to see them. See, there was a surveillance video that morning at Huey Kendall Stadium, and you're going to see it in just a minute. And just a few minutes. And that video tells the story. That video shows the murder. And then you're also going to hear from numerous eyewitnesses who were there to tell you after he slipped into another team's tent, he refused to leave, asked by multiple people, multiple times. You're going to have to make me touch me, see what happens, touch me, see what happens. And finally, when Austin Metcalf said he didn't want to fight, he just wanted Karmelo Anthony to leave. And finally, when Austin Metcalf laid hands on Karmelo Anthony, after Karmelo Anthony had provoked him and goaded him, he stabbed him and runs away, tossing the knife as he runs, and he tries to slip out of the stadium. Now try and act like he tried to leave. See, this is all lies. This is all nothing but lies. Are you all hearing this? This is nothing but lies. And you're saying who said it? The assistant district attorney, Bill Owerski. That's who said it. He sat there and told nothing but outright lies. Okay, please pay attention. Now, goes or then tried to act as though he tried to make a clean getaway. Running fast at first and then slowing down, trying to blend into the confusion and pandemonium that was going on out there that morning. That's what you are going to hear. You're going to hear from the kids that will tell you about these conversations, describe exactly what was going on under that tent that morning. This was a provoked, unjustified murder. The facts are simple. The killing, this murder is just senseless. It is senseless. So let me reset a little bit. Like he had to calm himself down. Let me rewind. Earlier that morning, that Wednesday, April the 2nd of last year, Huey Kendall Stadium, Frisco ISD, that morning, the district track meet was set to begin, okay? There were several of the Frisco high schools, including Memorial High School, where Austin Metcalf went and attended with his twin brother. It also included Centennial High School, where this young man attended, okay? And you're going to hear that Memorial actually hosted that district track meet. And you're going to hear later today from one of their coaches, Rob Starr. Rob Starr is going to come in and tell you a little bit about how track meets run. And in particular, how this particular track meet ran. And because they were the host, he had extra responsibilities. He had extra responsibilities, Coach Starr did that morning. Knowing he would be busy, knowing he would be doing 100 different things, he needed some people to step up and take charge of the team, get the tent set up, and make sure everybody was where they needed to be. And he sent a text early that morning to Austin Metcalf and another young man. And he said, hey, I need you guys to step up and be the leaders today, okay? That's the text that Austin got. And as we get to about 10 o'clock, Coach Starr will tell you there was rain in the forecast that morning. Let me tell you all something. Let me tell you all something. I didn't believe it then, and I don't believe it now, that Coach Starr sent a text to ask Austin to come to that track meet that morning. And here's why. Because Austin and his brother had been kicked off of the track team. Remember how I told you all they were kicked off the track team because they were not being respectful to the other teammates. They only finished their events and they leave. And one day they left and went fishing. So the coach kicked them off the team. Now, here's the thing. Now, this is what I'm thinking. Now, I could be wrong, but I also could be absolutely right. So what I think is that they got Coach Starr, because remember, it's a small town, and small town politics always play a role in situations like these, where there's blacks on this side and whites on the other. So in my opinion, they got Coach Starr to say that he asked them to be there and to act as leaders, because then that would explain why they were there when they're kicked off the team. Meanwhile, they lied and flipped the script and tried to paint the narrative that Karmelo was not supposed to be there, that Karmelo wasn't even participating in the track meet that day, but he was. He had an event that he was supposed to run, and also he was there to help the disabled children, as he often did. They also lied and said that Karmelo had been suspended from school before for bringing a knife to school. That's a whole lie. Okay, the ones who've been in trouble multiple times were the Metcalf twins. That's a fact. Okay, that's a fact. Now, let's continue. So anyway, some of the athletes, hold on, where was I? Okay, said there was rain in the forecast that morning. Light raindrops began to fall. That caused somewhat of a bit of confusion out there at the track meet. Some teams assumed incorrectly they were in a rain delay and went to the buses. Some teams and some athletes that had been to the buses because of the rain went in it slacking, started to filter back into the stadium. Some of the athletes warming up on the field, most of them staying in their assigned areas with their teams in their tents. Another thing I want to point out also is this. Not only do I think that the coach said that just to make it seem like they were supposed to be there, even though I don't think they were, because they weren't even on the track team anymore. So what are you doing? Okay, but to also explain away why Austin took it upon himself to try to force Karmelo to leave. Because if you say he's in a leadership position, then one might be driven to think, specifically a juror, they might be driven to think, oh, well, that's why he was telling the young man to get out from under their tent, because he was in charge. You see how that works? Okay, but he wasn't in charge. He should have gone and gotten an adult. Anyway, now goes on to say, and you are going to see the video surveillance that about 6.5 minutes before the murder, Austin Metcalf and his twin brother and several other boys entered that tent. They had been at Staley Middle School, which is very close to Huey Kendall. They had been over there saying hello to some of their former coaches. Actually, it was said by people in their community that they were over there, as I've already told you all, harassing a student. Okay, harassing a student from another high school. I want to say it was Evansville High School or something that starts with an E, but it was a female. And then supposedly Karmelo and some other students had stopped them from harassing her earlier. Now, they say that when they came storming over to Huey Kendall, they were looking for Karmelo because they were already pissed off because he was one of the guys that told them to stop and snitched on them. And that's why their mom had to come to the school. Remember how their mom said she beat the ambulance to the hospital? That's because she was already in the area, because really she lives about 45 minutes from there. Okay, so please pay attention. Now, let me continue. So anyway, they had been over there saying hello to some of their former coaches, trying to act like they're so nice and sweet. Oh, they came to visit their coaches. You will see them come in up to the tent. The video will show you normal activity under the tent. People seated, some people leaving to go warm up. A lot of kids just sitting there, heads buried in their phones. And about 2 minutes after Austin Metcalf entered the tent, this man, Karmelo Anthony, notice he keeps calling him a man, okay? Karmelo Anthony, he enters the picture, and you will see the video. He comes up on those visitor side bleachers, comes up from a protected area that might have kept him out of the rain, comes up, looks around, and strolls right past two large Liberty High School tents and their athletes and their coaches, and he makes a beeline for the memorial tent. Now, this is all lies and BS because we all saw the video. I showed you all the most enhanced version of the video that we could find. And in fact, Karmelo was there before Austin and Hunter. Karmelo is seated under the bleachers, under the tent, when Hunter and Austin and their other friends, Lucas and the other one, come walking in. We all saw that. So these are all lies. Now, it goes on to say, okay, and you will pick him up in another camera angle, slipping into the memorial tent up top of the tent. The bleachers have a slant. They put the tent over it, and you will see more normal activity once he is in the tent. The witnesses will tell you numerous of the memorial athletes said, "Hey, man, what are you doing here? You can't be here. You need to leave." We know what Coach Starr expects. See, the tents kind of serve as a locker room, as Coach Starr will tell you. It is very important to protect the kids from the elements, a place where they can safely leave their belongings without fear of theft. These athletes knew what their coach's expectations were, and he is refusing to leave. Numerous people are asking him to leave, and I'm not going to leave. Move me, make me. And finally, doing as his coach had requested in a text message, Austin Metcalf steps up, shows a little leadership, and says, "You need to go." Now, that's not what happened. What about the part where Austin said, "I'm going to beat your B-I-T-C-H-A-S-S"? He didn't say anything about that, now did he? So anyway, says, "You need to go. You need to go." What does he say? "Do you want to fight? Make me, touch me and see what happens." The kids will tell you Austin was unwilling. He didn't want to sing. He didn't want to fight, but he kept provoking, goading, and taunting until finally Austin Metcalf took the bait and touched him, shoved him, pushed him. You will see it on the videotape. You see how they're minimizing his culpability? Now, I want you all to think about this. Think about this. Think about if someone punched you in the face. If someone put hands on you or did something wicked to you, some form of attack, and you call the police, and the person tells the police, "Well, they kept goading me. They were provoking me. They kept saying, 'Do it, touch me, touch me. I bet you won't touch me. I bet you won't touch me.' And so I touched him. I finally got fed up." How the hell is that your fault? That's what they're saying. You see how stupid that sounds? And only racist demons could make that make sense to themselves in their minds. How does that make any sense whatsoever? So you mean to tell me because someone said words to you that gave you the right to put hands on them and you don't get any consequences for assaulting them because they provoked it? Yeah, they did that to take away the self-defense aspects. That's what they did. They wanted to make it like it was cold-blooded, calculated, premeditated murder. Okay, and that's what they did clearly because the jury fell for the BS. And those jurors were probably racist themselves because none of them were black. Okay, please pay attention. And they live in Frisco. So I'm sorry, but absolutely, I believe they were all racist. But let's continue. So with that, and anytime someone says it's not about race, it's always about race. If it's not about race, you don't have to mention race. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to bring it up. You don't have to give a disclaimer. You don't have to do any of that. As soon as the assistant DA said this case is not about race, that's when anyone who was curious or who didn't know should have known it's about race. Okay, because why the hell is he bringing it up? And the funny thing is, it's always the people who claim it's not about race and say we're making it about race. They're always the first ones to bring up race. Did you all even notice that? Because I sure did. I noticed it all the time. But let's continue. So anyway, goes on to say he didn't want to fight. Do you want to fight? Make me, touch me, and all of that. Like Karmelo was saying, all of this BS. Okay. So crazy. He didn't want a scene. He didn't want to fight, but he kept provoking, goaded, and taunting till finally he pushed him. You'll see the videotape. And at that point, he had been sitting there the last few minutes of the taunting, the provoking, the goading with his hand in the Centennial High School backpack, a folding knife you will see later today, already open in his hand. But they didn't see the knife later that day. All they saw was a picture of it because the knife wasn't even introduced as evidence, from what I was told. Now, and he produced it swiftly and suddenly and plunged it into the chest of Austin Metcalf. Austin Metcalf, he didn't even know he had been stabbed. Once the stabbing happened, what does he do? He runs like the guilty run. He bolts from the tent. You will see this. He turns to his left, no doubt realizing he can't get out that way. So he turns to his right towards the main gate. He runs fast at first, then he slows down and tries to blend in and slip out of the front gate. Now back under the tent, the kids, as you can well imagine, have now leapt up. They do not know what's going on. Some of them, when they realize there has been a stabbing, they flee. They run for their lives. Actually, they were chasing Karmelo. They run for their lives, afraid that the stabbing was going to continue and other students would get hurt. Why would they think that if the stabber was gone and threw the knife as he ran, like he said as well? One group, including Blank, went to aid Austin. Once Austin realized he had been stabbed, he lifts up his shirt and says, "I've been stabbed." And the kids see a gaping, bloody wound. That's the knife wound right there, right through his heart. And he stumbled down several rows of bleachers and falls, where he is attended by several of the kids and his twin brother. Several of those kids called 911. A third group of kids that had seen the stabbing and figured out what had gone on, they point him out. They follow him. They point him out and finally get some coaches who are able to stop him right as he was trying to leave the track meet. Now, y'all know this is all lies and BS. When we saw the video, we saw Karmelo run, not out of the, try to get out of the gate. He ran to the track field. He ran out onto the grass, the grassy part, to his coach, went right up to his coach. And then the coach is sitting there talking to him. That's what we saw. What does he say when he is stopped by these people? He touched me. He touched me first. He touched me. As if somehow that fact justifies his act. As if somehow that fact justifies the murder he had just committed. As if he knew he had murdered the guy. Please pay attention. Okay, he didn't even know Austin was dead. In response to the 911 call, a Frisco police officer, Officer Cortez, who is the school resource officer in nearby Staley, he hears the call of the stabbing come out. He races towards Huey Kendall and he runs and gets the group of kids who are running in fear and tell them, "Hey, there has been a stabbing. The victim is over by the memorial tent." Officer Cortez activates his body-worn camera and runs toward the scene. When he gets there, he sees that these coaches have detained Austin Metcalf, and you will see all of this on surveillance video and an officer on Officer Cortez's body-worn camera. And what does Carmelo Anthony say when Officer Cortez appears to put him in cuffs? Cortez puts him in custody, puts on the cuffs, gets on his radio and said, "I have the alleged suspect in custody. Slow everyone down." Carmelo Anthony, despite not being questioned, says, "I am not alleged. I did it. I am not alleged. I did it." And then he repeats what he had told the bystanders. And you will hear this on the body-worn camera. "He touched me first. He touched me first." That's what you'll hear, trying to justify the murder. Most importantly, what you're going to hear is a telltale lie. A telltale lie. Seconds, moments after the murder, he lies to Cortez, who is not even trying to question him. "He touched me. He touched me first." What's the lie? "I told him not to. I told him not to." You see, he knows what he did. He knows he provoked the murder. He knows he goaded the murder. And in the seconds and minutes after that, the first line out of his mouth, "He touched me first. I told him not to." And that lie tells you everything you need to know about his mindset that day. Everything you need to know. He wasn't scared. He lied when he got caught trying to leave the stadium. He tossed the knife immediately after the stabbing, something no scared person would do. If you are scared and running away and you just had to stab someone in self-defense, why toss the knife? But that's what he did. He tried to slip away from the scene. And then when he gets caught, he tells that lie. And that lie should be very important to you folks as you listen to the evidence. You're going to see all of this video later this morning, and you're going to start to hear from the witnesses. You're going to start to hear from the witnesses. And I submit to you the facts of this case are very simple. It is a senseless murder. It is not about self-defense. You folks heard a little bit about the law yesterday. You will hear more about it as the case goes on. You simply cannot provoke someone and then when they touch you, produce a knife and take their life. Now I want y'all to pay attention. Here's the thing. Hold on. Hold on. I'm trying to get this comment. Here it is. Queen, it really sounds like Carmelo said, "I'm not alleged. I didn't." Here's the thing. I think that is what he said, but I think he was just admitting that he was the person involved in the incident, not that he killed anybody at the end of the day. Also, because he didn't even know he killed him. And also, when he says that he's really putting 20 on 10, okay, when he's saying all this stuff, he's really laid it on thick. Okay, but I want you all to notice what else he's doing. Now, we saw the video footage, right? And the video footage was very grainy. Okay, and we had some people that tried to enhance it as best they could so we could get better visuals. But also remember, there was the original video that was absolutely clear, and it was like 4K, and it was shown at the school, okay, in 2025. All right. And so the people that saw that, there was a list of people, and I showed you all the list. I even had one of the people who saw it, I interviewed them on here. And so, with that all being said, they saw exactly what happened. And they all said that Carmelo was jumped. They all said Carmelo was there first and he was seated, and that Austin and his friends came directly to Carmelo and confronted him. Okay. That's what they said. All right. Now, here's what the assistant DA has done. When he's telling them, "You're going to see video footage and you're going to see Carmelo Anthony pull out a knife and stab him. You're going to see him run and try to leave." What he was doing was putting this in their minds, because they're not going to be able to see everything that happened, because we know it was grainy footage that they showed them on purpose. They didn't want to show them the clear video. That's why that video now has been sealed. The evidence from the trial has all been sealed. Why? If the trial's over and the verdict's been given and the sentence has been issued, why is the evidence being hidden? Because they don't want the truth to come out. But it's going to come out, just like the truth about Nolan. These devils are not going to keep getting away with playing games with us, okay? He knew that the jurors would not be able to see every detail of what happened. So he was setting the stage. He's telling them what they're going to see. So when they're looking at it, anything you can't figure out, you'll just assume that's what you're seeing, because that's what he already told you. It's kind of like the same thing they were saying about the audio from the CETO call, when they were saying that the people put the transcripts up there, and that's like making us think this is what we're hearing, but the only difference is we know what the hell we heard. I know I heard somebody say, damn it, Bart, I didn't need transcripts for that. I know I heard somebody say, no, wake the F up. Check his chest. I heard all of that, and you all did too, and we didn't need transcripts for it. Okay, so I find it interesting. They tried to pick that out for the Nolan case, but nobody said nothing when they did that in the Carmelo Anthony case. But let's continue. So anyway, goes on to say that knife wasn't used to protect him from harm. That knife was used to harm another. That's what this case is about. Murder, plain and simple, and senseless. And after you hear all of this evidence, see all of the video, and listen to all the witnesses, I expect to be back up here in a few days talking with you folks and asking you to follow the oath that you took, follow the evidence that you saw, the evidence that you heard, and find this man guilty of first-degree murder. That's what this case is about. Thank you very much. The court says, thank you, Mr. Worski. Mr. Howard, how do you care to make an opening statement? Do you care to make an opening statement at this time? He says yes. Now let's hear the opening statement. After this, I want to go to another set of the transcripts so we can hear from one of the witness testimonies. Okay, and then we'll be out of here. I'm not going to read, because when I tell you it's hundreds of pages, and it's like 9 volumes, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, Mr. Howard says, yes, Your Honor. The court says you may proceed. Thank you, Judge. May it please the court? Yes, sir. Okay, so Mr. Howard says, ladies and gentlemen, there has been a lot of noise around this case. We all know it. We talked about this in jury selection. You told us you believe less than half of what you see on social media, in media in general. And I think that's fair, because there's a lot of noise about this case, a lot of completely false information. The good thing is, as the judge has told you, you're going to hear all of the actual evidence in this courtroom, and only in this courtroom. There has been a lot of noise about Melo, about his family. But what the evidence is going to show is that Melo is a son. He's a brother, the oldest of 4. He is a friend, a boyfriend. He is a student, graduated with a 3.7 GPA from Centennial High School, while holding down 2 jobs while he was in high school, while being an athlete, playing football, playing baseball, playing track. He was into chess, likes to go camping, but living here in the Metroplex doesn't get a ton of opportunity too. Now, here's the problem. Now, I want y'all to pay attention. Notice when he was listing all the stuff that Karmelo did, he said he's into chess. Remember how they claimed that was the discrepancy that made them break the gentleman's agreement? Because the DA says that one of the agreements was that he was not supposed to mention that Karmelo was on the school's chess team. Now, why would that be a problem if he's on the school's chess team? Well, because people on the chess team tend to be smart. They tend to be intellectual. Okay, and disciplined. Now, so he didn't want him to say that. But he didn't say that he was on the school chess team. He just simply said he's into chess, likes to go camping, but living here in the Metroplex doesn't get a ton of opportunity to. So he basically said, Mike Howard said that he was using that as one of his hobbies. Anyway, but let's continue.